Now, I welcome our distinguished speaker, who is an influential personality, Mr. Pankaj Sikka, to have a spirited fireside chat with us. To introduce Mr. Sikka, he is the Chief Everything Officer or CEO at Envision 360. The feathers in his hat include his education from NMIMS in MBA Marketing. He is currently the Vice Chair for Entrepreneurship and Innovation Committee at IEEE Bombay section. May I now take this opportunity to invite sir to address the gathering. Over to you, sir.
Okay, can you guys see me and can you guys hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay, perfect. Sounds good. So, fireside chat at 4 p.m. I believe this is going to be the most interesting session. Towards anything after lunch and anything around 4 p.m. is usually the most interesting, where you probably have 3 or 4 people left in the audience and the rest of them have probably said goodbye. So, can I don't know. Can I even have a raise of hands? How many audiences do we have, and how many students do we have who are really entrepreneurship inclined? Um, okay, I do see a couple of faces coming online right now, and the camera is being turned on, so I'm sure there are a couple of people.
There are many people on the YouTube, sir.
There are people on YouTube. Yes.
And these new norms are adopted because they can watch at any time, late night, early morning, anywhere.
So, now everyone has a YouTube link, and they're all online, and I'm going to have a monologue with them.
Yes.
Sure, sir. Sure.
And they need not be physically present right now. They can watch it at any time, fill the feedback form anytime.
Yes.
That's the beauty of this technology and new norms.
Yeah, this is the most interesting. It actually brings me back to a memory. A couple of years ago, when the call centers and BPOs were actually booming in the country, there was a gentleman by the name of Raman Roy. He's known as the father of the Indian BPO industry. He coined a line which today seems so much more relevant. He said, "Technology has made geography history." So if you look at what's happening today, it's only because of technology that it doesn't matter which part of the world you are at. It doesn't matter which location, which region, which language system you are at. Because of technology, your geography has actually made history.
Yes.
So, ladies and gentlemen, good evening, welcome. And I'm sure you guys have had a very exciting last couple of days with the IEEE Bombay Section Entrepreneurship Bootcamp 2021. And I'm sure we've got a couple of more editions and talks to happen over the next couple of days as well. But my conversation today, as it's been termed, fireside chat. Now, I don't know how many of you all are really aware that fireside chat hota kya hai? As the name says, fireside. It is आप एक bonfire के side में बैठे हैं, अच्छे mood में बैठे हो, you're relaxing and you're having a very casual conversation. So just take it from the name right there. So it's going to be all in all a very casual conversation. I will not have large presentations. I will not have structured discussions in terms of kya hai, kya nahi hai, so on and so forth. Just a very regular, casual conversation. Of course, structured around entrepreneurship, structured around startups, structured around you, the kids of today, and how we can help you become entrepreneurs and reach those heights of your own startups. That's what we're going to do. So, of course, having said that, आजकल का सबसे बड़ा buzzword, startup. Everyone says, क्या कर रहे हो? I'm launching a startup. माँ बाप कहते हैं मेरा बच्चा क्या कर रहा है? Startup में. गए वो दिन, जब माँ बाप कहते थे डॉक्टर बन रहा है, इंजीनियर बन रहा है, so on and so forth, etc. No, the buzzword today is all about startups. Now, why startup? How is this culture? Why is this culture all of a sudden just exploded in the last couple of years? It is all because of the passion that is coming within you. The passion that you all have as students, as wannabe entrepreneurs, as startup enthusiasts. Kyun aa raha hai? Maybe to solve a problem, right? Maybe you've seen people earning a lot of money. Maybe it's all about money, right? Maybe it's just about, igniting your passion. आज की तारीख में you hear a number of startups who work on eco-sensitive startup projects, right? Or environmentally sensitive projects, or rehabilitation projects, or various other projects which probably don't have a lot of money associated with it, but because it's their passion. You know, a friend of mine in Bombay has launched something which is known as a plastic brick. I don't know if you've seen that, but वो क्या करता है? Empty bottles, right? वो कोक की bottle होती है, those PET bottles or a Pepsi bottle, जो खाली bottles होती है, उसके अंदर you start filling in your empty wafer packets, empty biscuit packets. It becomes a plastic, you know, push plastic brick in the shape of the bottle. It is filled with plastic. It is filled with the plastic wrappers right there, and that's actually becoming a business for them. Those are being used to make pavements. Those are being used to make houses. Those are being used to make, you know, public toilets across some states by the government of the states. Now that's not because he wanted money. That's not because, you know, he was really inclined to solve a problem, but because he was happy giving back to the economy, giving back to the environment. Right? So coming back, startup आज आप करते हैं, आप क्यों करते हैं? Various reasons, right? जैसे मैंने बताया, money. Maybe you want to make the kind of money. You've heard a number of, you know, sayings today, newspaper reports, media reports, your peer groups, your colleges, your examples given by your professors. सब आज ये कहते हैं आज उसके इतने $1 million की funding, right? So maybe that has ignited something within you saying that I want to make that kind of money, and which is why I want to launch a startup. Right? Maybe the other aspect is you found out a problem. You've seen that there is a genuine problem that you want to solve, and you have a better solution to it. Maybe that's why you're getting into a startup. And of course, like the third example that I gave is in terms of environment sensitive. The world is deteriorating because of us human race. How can you help reduce that deterioration? How can you help stop that deterioration? How can you give back to the environment what the environment has given to you from us? So various aspects come across, right? So it's basically, you know, your vision. Where is your vision? What should you do? That vision will help you gain insights into launching your startup. That's what, you know, we want to help you out with here at the bootcamp. We want to ignite that passion within. We want to ignite that thought within. कि startup कर सकते हो, डर है, डर सबको लगता है. Most of you guys are probably engineering students or management students or you know, commerce students. Now, yes, लगता है that after this मुझे placement में जाना है, एक regular job लेना है, salary लेना है, घर पे जाके आराम करना. मैं startup के लिए अपना, you know, इतना risk क्यों लूँ? Which is where this bootcamp will come in. Which is where all the past sessions and some of the future sessions will come in handy, saying that move towards becoming an entrepreneur, ignite that passion. Right? Having said that, the journey is not very easy. You know, I'm sure in a couple of the lessons before, or a couple of the speakers before have also mentioned a number of times that 9 out of 10 startups fail. Right? It's not an easy journey. जब आप ये सुनते हो that उसको इतने $1 million की funding मिली है, but on the other side you also are hearing off and on from people like us that 9 out of 10 startups have failed, what do you really do? It's good to be scared. It's good to have that stress within you. Sometimes there is a positive stress that will push you up, but utilize that stress only to a certain point, right? Now, let me look at, you know, a very different aspect of these 9 out of 10 startups failing. What is that? 10% success, right? If you look at the other side, agar aapne naukri le liya, if you picked up a corporate job, you will still be making some amount of money, maybe some amount of good money right there. Right? But if you're within the space of that 10% successful startups, at times the kind of money that you can make right out of your passion, right out of following your instincts, would be much, much, much more beyond than what you would probably get in a working for a couple of years at a corporate job. Right? So there is that scare, there is that fear, there are chances of failure, but if you're successful, if you're within that 10% successful bracket, you can really make a lot more money while following your passion. Right? So coming to the real aspects of agar startup launch karna hai to kaise kar. You know, I always say that when you want to launch your startup, the first thing that you need is permission, right? Now, who's going to give you this permission? It's not your college professor. It's not your parents. It's not your boyfriend, girlfriend, etc. The permission comes in from within. The permission comes in from you. You yourself can give yourself the permission to start. If you have that permission, go up ahead, launch, start. Yes, like I said, once you start, there will be obstacles. There will be various paths that you have to choose. There will be various paths within which you'll have to choose the right path, the fastest path, the easiest path, the best path, right? What do you do then? It's like a, it's like a GPS. When you enter a destination onto your GPS in your phone and you say, that you want to follow directions, at a point of time, अगर वो GPS, अगर वो Google Maps में, अगर वो Maps में सामने कोई obstacle आएगा, Maps will turn you around and say there is a better, faster, without toll, easier route available, without obstacles, without traffic jams. Right? So you've encountered an obstacle. Technology has said, change the path. Similarly, you yourself would have to change your path. Sometimes this is also known as pivoting. Pivoting is basically what you start with is probably not what you are continuing with. You've started a business. You've started with a certain concept at mind, but you may want to change it because you've seen a change in the environment. Maybe you've seen a better way of doing business. Right? Take the current examples, right? आजकल की तारीख में COVID की वजह से a number of businesses had to pivot the business model, right? There is a startup that I work with. These guys were in female hygiene products, right? Now, when they launched their products, excellent, great, successful. They've been doing very well. They had a distribution model in place. They've been selling across the country, so on and so forth. However, the moment COVID hit, a number of their products saw a decline in sales. What they did realize is some of the raw materials, some of the factories that they work with are even good enough to start making masks or start making hygiene products required for regular household use. So they pivoted from being a female hygiene products only business, moving ahead to being a hygiene products for COVID business. So they pivoted, right? Which is what I'm saying, that yes, there are chances of failure, but you're still following your passion. You understand that there is a better way to do business. Let's look at the better way to do business. Right? Look at even the biggest startups of the world. Right? Look at Oyo, for example. They pivoted the business model. Look at Flipkart, for example. They pivoted the business model. Right? Look at Snapdeal. Snapdeal was more like a coupon website. It changed into being an e-commerce website. Right? There are people who keep adding on to their businesses. Uber, for example. Right? Uber is nothing but a transportation company, an aggregator of taxis. Why did Uber have to come into food? Why did Uber launch Uber Eats? Right? They found out that utilizing their current technology, utilizing their current travel aggregation business model, they can actually have an enhanced business while delivering food. Today, Uber is also delivering your household products. Uber has actually become more like an office boy running errands from you within the city as well. Right? So, and again, I'm going to come back to the fact that yes, launch, yes, there's a scare, understand why you want to launch, and be ready to pivot at times. Right? Now, having said all of this, I would like to share some slides. So do I have the rights to share my screen? I guess I do. Yes. Okay. By the way, in the meanwhile, any questions? Nothing yet? Okay, so I'm just sharing my screen. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thanks. Okay. Okay, so this is about me. Just a quick introduction. Of course, you've had a quick introduction within your emails, within the admins talking about it. But I run a small brand consulting organization known as Envision. Amongst our basic focus there is on brand licensing. But beyond that, I also consult for a number of startups and keep working with various incubation or academic incubation centers and helping startups there. Right. So that's just about quickly about me. Let me start this up ahead. I'm just going to skip all of this. Okay, so here we are. Right. So I'm sure you guys have seen a movie, The Dirty Picture, right? Now उसमें विद्या बालन कहती है मूवी तब सक्सेसफुल होती है जब उसमें होता है एंटरटेनमेंट एंटरटेनमेंट एंटरटेनमेंट, राइट? मैं कहता हूं स्टार्टअप या एंटरप्रेन्योर तब सक्सेसफुल होता है जब उसमें होता है perseverance, perseverance, and perseverance. Right? So yes, there are these 4 P's that you really need, but one of the most important amongst them is perseverance. You will need to keep pushing yourself. You will need to keep running. There will be a number of obstacles, right? But you need to hold on. You need to keep pushing. That's what perseverance is all about. Right? And of course, we've got the other ones, which is permission. Like I said, permission kaun dega? You. You yourself have to give yourself permission. Right? No one else is going to come back to you and say that you have a permission to start. Andar se jab tak awaaz nahi aati, don't start till that. Right? So permission, planning, practice, and of course perseverance. Right? Okay. So guys, kabhi hame ye dar bhi lagta hai that if I have a startup business idea ready, I have thought of something which is very innovative, I will not share this with anyone. I will not speak about this to others because they may end up copying my idea. I'm saying, karne do. Le jaane do idea. This idea is yours. It's within you. The kind of learnings, the kind of thoughts, the kind of looking at everything through, they will not understand this. You have it within you, right? So don't be scared. Yes, there are times that you have to understand when to share and when not to share, but don't be scared of sharing your ideas. Sometimes I'm a complete believer of networking. I believe that without networking, nothing moves in this world. Right? So, and networking I keep discussing various ideas with people. I keep talking to them. I get their inputs and I utilize all of their inputs into my idea. Right? So the idea without execution is nothing. Right? So please feel free, discuss, talk about it, understand it, but don't be scared. Understand that without executing it, the idea doesn't mean anything. Right? People at my end, who've been consulting for startups or incubation centers, etc., we keep getting 20 power decks or 20 pitch decks a day. People want to talk about this. They want to talk about their ideas. Some of those ideas are really appealing to me. But क्या मैं वो ideas लेके launch कर सकता हूँ? Show कर सकता हूँ. क्या मेरे अंदर वो passion रहेगा? Within that entrepreneur or within that person who actually thought the idea, I will probably not be able to match his passion. Right? So it doesn't make sense for me to start. Right? So I work with them. I help them launch. Right? So again, just to repeat, these ideas are nothing without execution. Right? Permission. Now, like I said, who shall give you permission? When shall you get the permission to start? It's you yourself. And it's now. Right? Permission ka time kabhi fix nahi hota. Understand now. Now could be now, right now. Tomorrow you could start thinking about it and say, I've got my permission now. The now can happen at any point of time. Right? I'm saying start. Sometimes one of the basic problems that a number of entrepreneurs who want to start face is I want to launch, but I want to launch it when I'm 100% ready with my business model. Right? There are times that it's not necessary that you should have 100% of your thoughts ready, or 100% of your concept ready, or 100% of your product ready. I am saying launch, start small, but start. At least get something over the ground. Everyone has done that. For example, um, YouTube. YouTube was a dating site, right? I don't know how many of you actually know the history around YouTube, but YouTube was a dating site. Now, how did it turn itself to be a content provider or a content aggregator? It's because dating sites, people came, they uploaded their profile, they uploaded their videos, so on and so forth, etc., etc. लोगों ने अपनी videos डालने शुरू कर दिए उसके ऊपर, and it actually became a content aggregator. So they really didn't have 100% of their idea thought up ready, but they launched. They said, "मुझे launch करना है." I'm sure a lot of you guys have seen the biopic movie of Facebook, right? What's the name of the movie? Anyway, whatever it was, right? But उसमें भी आप देखो, when Mark Zuckerberg launched it, he launched it because he thought he's ready. It was a very small beginning, but it grew. It grew like crazy. Then he built in a revenue model. Then he added a couple of features, so on and so forth. And today, Facebook is what it is today. It's actually buying out many other startups, right? So there is no right time. There is no long time, right? Launch, even if it's not 100%, launch. Yeah. Now, anyway, coming back. So, like I'm saying over here, the magic shall not begin till you launch, till you start. Right? Again, look at the example. The first example that I have, KFC. We've all heard of it, right? Colonel Sanders, the guy who invented or launched KFC. He launched it when he was 63. Right? What was the right time? What was the wrong time? He doesn't know. He found an idea. He thought it was useful. He launched it. Ray Kroc of McDonald's, right? He made McDonald's into a super success at 52. Right? Moving younger, Oyo, started at 18 years. Moving closer, SP Jain, a student. Like he's not a student anymore right now, but Vineet Jain, who while being a student launched his digital music company, and today his company is worth around almost 10 crores. Currently being a student at least till a couple of months ago. So like I'm saying, कोई right time या wrong time नहीं है. Once you have an idea, launch it. There may be times that you may have to change. There may be times that you would have to pivot. That's okay. It's all right. But karo. Yeah. Planning. So, guys, I'm sure you've heard about this term, and there have been a number of other speakers who've actually discussed this term and the details behind this term much more in detail in the earlier sessions. I'm just going to take you a very brief on this, because nothing in the world will move without planning. Right? Have a plan ready. Build a plan. Now, what is a plan? Could be a business plan, could be a financial plan, could be a marketing plan, could be any other plan. But you need to have your plan ready. Right? I'll give you another example over here. When I hire people for my company, right? Something that I always do is I meet them, I speak with them. It's not an interview. I never take interviews. मैं हमेशा बोलता हूँ चल यार कॉफी पे मिलते हैं, बैठते हैं, बात करते हैं, let's understand who you are. Right? Beyond that, once I have shortlisted them, I send them a set of questions. I send them a questionnaire. Right? And I tell them that ये question के answers आपको देने हैं as creatively as you can and on a presentation format, a PPT format. Right? And ऐसा नहीं है that you can't ask people. I'm saying ask anyone. Call up your friends. Get the questions ready. Use Google. Right? Go online. Find the answers. Get those answers ready and then come back to me. Mind you, it's not a test. It's only the aspect over here is, the only aspect over here is that they have understood what they're getting into. The moment you put mind to paper, एक discussion हो गया. उस डिस्कशन के बाद जब आपने उस डिस्कशन के कुछ पॉइंट्स एक कागज पर लिखे, that's the time where you and your concepts will be much more clear. And on the other side, when you are presenting that to someone, it will be more clear to the person who's seen those details. So coming back to the point where I am hiring someone, when that gentleman has actually, or lady, has jotted down those points, their concepts have become clear. When they share their answers with me, I understand that yes, A, B, and C is correct. However, point D is what this gentleman or lady has not really understood. So the moment you start making a plan, the moment you start writing down these stuff, whether it's a growth model, whether it's a marketing model, whether it's a financial model, your concepts, your fundas become clearer. Right? So it's very important to start planning, right? Within the plan, there are times that you will also realize that there is a market for my concept, my product, my service. How big is that market? Right? You don't know till the time you've not started. So it's very important to do a market research, right? I'll give an example. All of you have heard of Urban Clap or Urban Company, right? I remember the time when Aviraj Val was at a mall in Gurgaon, and he was, I think he was probably in his final year of IIT or something, or probably just passed out before launching Urban Company. He was in the mall in Gurgaon, holding a piece of paper and filling out primary market research survey by people who were moving around in the mall. He was coming up to people like me and asking, क्या आपके घर में कभी plumbing की problem है, क्या आपके घर में कभी carpentry की problem है, so on and so forth, etc. Right? He did that market survey on his own. Both of them. There were two of them. I forgot the other guy was probably a co-founder as well. But both of them were right there, moving around the mall, getting these questionnaires filled. Right? And because of that questionnaire, because of the right analysis via that questionnaire, via that market research, look at where Urban Company is today. Right? So again, very important. You may think that you have the right product, the right concept, the right service, ready. But at times, maybe that's not what the customer really wants. You may be excited with it, right? But that's not what the customer really needs. So what do you do at that point of time? Do a market survey. Do a research. Collate those answers and then see whether your plan is in line with the answers that you've collated, or you want to tweak something there. Right? Again, remember, tweak, pivot. Right? Another aspect over here is plan for your first crowd of customers. Right? But also plan for your first 100 crores. Right? Plan, but in the end, action towards your first check and first customer. That's very important. Your plan should talk about how large you're going to make the business. Your plan should talk about how you're going to make your first 100 crores. But in the end, like I said, launch. Don't wait till you're 100% perfect. Launch to karo. Shuru to karo. Right? Action towards your first customer. Action towards your first revenue. The moment you start getting your first customer, the moment you start getting your first couple of customers, the moment you start getting your first couple of revenues on board, that instigates you to start working more. That excites you. That's motivation for you. Right? The other side, that could also tell you what you need to change. So plan mein hona chahiye sab kuch, but your actions should be starting off with your first couple of customers and first couple of revenues. Yeah. So moving on. Now, this is something which is a little more in detail. I'm just going to hold this for a bit so that you guys can go through all of this. But in the meanwhile, I'm going to take a quick pause and wait for any questions. I see something in the chat. Okay, I see a question which says that when incubator funded startups failed, then at this situation, what happens? Is this a question asked for me, or are we because it was before my time.
So this question is for you, sir.
It's for me. Okay. Sounds good. Okay. So, guys, like I've been saying, it's not easy to start. There are a number of startups that fail. But on the other side, today, you have a large support system within your colleges or even at times outside your colleges of these startup centers or incubation centers. There is there are various hand-holding techniques that are part of these incubation centers, right? So the easiest part over here is you can actually go ahead and work with these incubation centers, and they will support you across various aspects, right? Now, yes, at times a number of these incubation centers don't really cannot really guarantee you success. Your idea could be great, your concept could be great, your product could be great. Your product could have even, or your business could have even won a number of awards by the mentors of the incubation center, or taking it forward the incubation center board, or taking it forward by the government. But that's not a guarantee that your product or service or concept will be successful. Now, what happens when it fails? I personally believe that nothing fails. There is always a learning. There are reasons why things fail. Understand what those reasons are. Right? Write them down. Do a SWOT analysis. Do an analysis in terms of why, what were the core reasons why your product or service failed. Did you not have the right team? Did you not have the right finances at the point of time? Right? Did you not work hard enough? Did you not read the market when the market was saying that you need to launch a different kind of a product or a version of your concept? Right? There has to be some reason, right? Find that reason. Go back to the drawing board. At that point of time, do you want to launch again? There is no harm in launching again. I always encourage kids who are entrepreneurs who have launched a product or a service or a concept and they've not been fairly successful. I'm saying go back to the drawing board, understand, learn from your mistakes, and launch it once again. At times, it's not necessary that you will need to launch on the same lines. Maybe while running the business, you have learned something else, which if your business one has failed, you could pick up the business to and launch it. Right? I'm sure you guys have heard of a website known as Groupon. Right? Now, the founder of Groupon, forgot his name. Very interesting gentleman. Anyone? Anyway, so for his name right there. But he's always discussed something which is on failure. He's always said that he has been a failed entrepreneur. Now, failing is again relative. He's made a number of money. He's made amounts and huge amounts of money. Right? He's made a business name for himself. He's launched a website and a portal and a startup right there. He's investing in a couple of startups today. He's guiding a number of startups today. Right? But yet he says he's a failed entrepreneur. I don't believe him that he is failed. According to me, he's not failed. According to me, he's learned a lot in life, and today I can walk up to him and say, I need your help. Right? So there is nothing like failure. It's always a lesson learned. It's always, going back to the drawing board and changing stuff. Right? So, gentlemen, whoever asked this question, I hope this answers your question right there. Yeah. So now coming back, planning. Right? You guys have heard about this enough in the earlier sessions, but elevator pitch and stuff like target market, marketing and sales, all of this requires ample planning. Do not take a step before you have planned and seen everything through. When I say seen everything through, I'm saying it's not just about thinking about something for the next 10, 15, 20, 30 months, customers. Go all the way through. Right? Think each and every step. Choose one aspect, marketing. Think everything around marketing. Choose another aspect, sales, distribution, network. Think everything around that. You have to go all the way. right? So I've left this slide for a couple of minutes on board over here. I'm going to move on. Practice, right? Guys, something that I have always believed in life is reading. I don't know how many of y'all actually read the newspaper, whether the printed edition or whether the digital edition today, but there are a number of reports that come in within the newspaper that actually will help you learn from people. Right? There are a number of reports within the newspaper that will help you understand and build a network of reaching out to the right person within the right company, his name mentioned right there. Right? But most of all, most important are the editorials. That's when your concepts become clear. But that's just the newspaper right there. Right? There are various books by various entrepreneurs who have spoken about various topics. Right? There is fiction. You guys love reading fiction, read fiction. But keep reading. It enhances your brain flavor as well. Right? And you learn a lot. You learn from their mistakes. You learn from their experiences. A number of people who have been highly successful and reached either corporate or entrepreneurs have reached a certain level, always love writing and sharing their experiences. Right? Again, there's nothing wrong in reading a book through an audiobook. It's just the times have moved on. So from reading, I don't really mean that you need to sit down and read. You can of course read, but it's equally good to also look at an audiobook as well. Right? So like it says over here, professionals who hold the business continuously practice. They continuously read. They change. They improve. They innovate and they grow. Right? This is a crude and competitive world today. You have to keep improvising. You have to keep learning. You have to keep innovative in various ways. Right? Now, again, the word that I've used earlier, pivot, is something that you see over here, agility. Be ready to accept change. Be ready to move on. Be ready to innovate. Right? So that's all about practice over here. Right? Now, what do you really need to practice? Various details over here, right? Brand name, your office location, your ownership, right? Your product or service mix, the recruitment of people, your distribution and sales plan. Let me just take a quick minute to talk about all of these, right? Now, a brand name today, guys, actually signifies what your product or service is all about, right? Now, I come in from a branding perspective myself. I run a brand management consultancy. That's my core business. But what I always say, what is branding? Right? For me, branding is what water does to a thirsty person. It breathes life into you. Right? That is what branding, that is what a logo, that is what colors, that is what design will do for your product, for your business, for your concept, for you as a person, for your city. The moment you start branding things, life is breathed inside, life comes inside you. That's what branding is all about. Right? So decide a brand name. Right? Decide an office location. Current times, how does it matter? You have technology. You could be sitting at a Starbucks, or you could be sitting at SPTBI. You could be sitting at any incubation center. You could be sitting in a park anywhere, as long as you have the technological tools with you. Right? But make sure that whatever you do, there is a dedicated space for you to work on. Whether you're working from home, whether you're working from a Starbucks, there is something that people know that yes, you are available within these premises or over here during this time. Right? You want to have meetings? You could have meetings in various meeting rooms across the city. You can start booking them online. Right? So it's not necessary anymore to actually have a live office. There are these incubation centers that really support you. I mean, SPTBI, for example, in Mumbai, right? The kind of support parameters that I've seen at SPTBI as an incubation center are immense. Across from finding the right mentors from you, across from raising the right kind of platform for you to run or start your business, apart from giving you the real estate to sit down and start working in your office, apart from various technological supports, there is everything available right there at the incubation center. Right? So think of an office location, decide a brand name, ownership pattern. Now, what do I really mean by ownership pattern? Right? And I'm actually going to combine ownership pattern with recruitment of people. Now, I come of the belief that a business is usually run by a dynamic duo. There need to be two people to run the business. there is one person who looks at the larger outward looking picture. वो देखता है, उसकी दिशा है, उसकी आंखें हैं, उसका विजन है कि वो कहाँ बिजनेस को कहाँ ले जा सकता है. That's what he does. The other person is more operation oriented. While the first gentleman is looking outside at the larger picture, the gentleman here who manages the operation is working on every detail. When these two work together, that's how business really is successful. Right? So when you have two people to start off with, what do you think should be your ownership structure? Right? There are various ifs and buts around this. I mean, your financial advisors or your chartered accountants or chartered consultants or your auditors or your incubation center heads will guide you correctly based on your individual cases. There is no one size fits all, right? But I am always of the opinion, start a simplistic ownership pattern. When I say simplistic, there are various laws and regulations that need to be followed the moment you launch with a private limited or a public limited or one of those kind of companies. However, those laws and regulations are relatively easier to manage if you have a proprietorship or a partnership company. Right? So again, like I said, it's no one size fits all. There is no one solution to everyone. It depends on your individual aspects, individual thoughts, individual companies, individual backgrounds. Right? So that's something that only your auditor will be able to advise you. Right? So like I said, two people, a dynamic duo to launch the company, to start the company, and within yourself, the sharing pattern that you want to have. Right? Your distribution and your sales channel. Now, any product, any service, any concept that you launch, you will of course have to get this into the hands of the customer. Right? What do you do? How do you do that? Do you go online? Do you go offline? Do you go omni-channel? Do you go hybrid? Right? There are various aspects. That's again something that depends on your product or your service. Right? Yes, it is relatively easier to launch your own website and start selling online immediately, but it's more difficult to market your website vis-a-vis the other competitors that you have, such as Amazon of the world, etc. Right? Easier to launch, but can you really popularize your website name, whereby people start coming across to your website and start buying directly from you? So is it easier to launch your product on an Amazon? Sure, yes. But you'll have to start sharing margins with them. So again, the right structure is something that you'll be able to decide, or working with your team, you should be able to decide. Next, there will be teething problems, like I said earlier. There will be various issues. It's not going to be an easy ride. Be ready to pivot, be ready to move, be ready to change, be agile, right? Something that very important that I love is it's always very important to develop systems and processes. It's not running a business is at times planning for the large business that you're going to build the moment you start. But the moment you start, make sure you've got your systems and processes in place. Right? Yes, a smaller business is relatively easier to tweak around with those business systems and processes. Larger businesses already have defined roles for everything. But at least have them in place the moment you start. Yeah. Then the feedback changes. Right? Be open to feedback. Be open to what your customers are saying. Understand and accept that the customer is buying or taking a product. You are not the customer. Right? Let me give you an example with within retail in this space. Right now, most of us are probably shopping online. Most of us are probably shopping at Lifestyle and Shop Stop in the various malls of the world. Right? But guys, all of this, the online world and the Shop Stop and the Lifestyle and all the malls that you have in the world, this is organized retail. Right? In India today, organized retail is around 20% of the entire retail market. When you and me launch a product, हम क्या सोचते हैं कि ये प्रोडक्ट जो है ये लाइफस्टाइल में, ये अमेज़न में बहुत बिकेगा, 100 पीस बिक जाएंगे, इतना बिक जाएगा, मुझे इतना पैसा मिलेगा. What you actually forget is हिंदुस्तान की जनता अमेज़न पे नहीं खरीदती. हिंदुस्तान की जनता लाइफस्टाइल में नहीं जाती. That's just 20% of the population. The rest 80% still go down to the mom and pop stores. They are not going to. So if you're making a business model basis the fact that aap khali Amazon and lifestyle pe bechoge, go back to your books again. Start planning again. If you can't reach the 80% of the market in India, right, you are losing a big critical mass. So just an example of any product that you would probably want to retail in physical retail or online retail, but it's also applicable for a number of other industries. Do not always say that because you shop at Amazon, because you consume this product, the entire Janta will consume this product. Right? A market survey will answer a couple of questions right there. And the moment you launch a product or service, you will get a number of feedbacks. Be ready to accept that change. Yeah. And like I said, continue a pivot. Right? Okay. So a couple of additional points that you should have before you start up is financial planning, right? Products, your people, your team, your legal compliances, your competitive analysis. You know, it's and the best part is if you decided to launch, your plan is ready and you're launching with the minimum product, it's not a shame to go back to your friends and family and say, guys, I need your help. Right? Now, how could that help come in? Yes, at times friends and families also invest in business, angel investors, right? At times friends and families could actually be your first customers, right? At times your friends and families could actually come in and say, let me open some doors for you. When I say open some doors, I know someone at Amazon, you come across to me and I say, and you ask me and you request me to connect you to someone at Amazon, I have opened that door for you. So there is no shame in asking for favors from your friends and family. Always keep an open mind. ज़्यादा ज़्यादा क्या होगा यार, मना करेंगे ना, और probably कुछ बहाना मारेंगे. Big deal. At least you've tried. At least you've gone out to them. At least you've requested. At least you've made that first effort. That's the most important part. Yeah. Building a board of advisors. Yes. Every aspect of your company, whether legal, whether marketing, whether sales, whether product, whether technology, will need some experts on board. Yes, you've got a great idea. Yes, आपको पता है कि इस idea को आपने successful कैसे बनना. But you're not the expert of, you're not the expert marketer. You're not the financial expert. You're not the legal expert. At times, it is easier to build a board of advisors within your network, reaching out to them and saying, guys, I need your help to be on my board. Sometimes it's not a formal position. नाम के लिए बड़ा लगता है to build a board of advisors. Maybe it's not a formal position. Maybe it's just, getting someone known to you on board to help you out on certain aspects of the business. Yeah. So very important to build a board of advisors. Right. Now, all of this is in detail, but I'm actually going to skip all of this. Right. So I'm going to stop this right here. And I'm going to come back to questions. Okay, so questions, guys. So like I say, 4 baje and after lunch wale sessions jo hote hain, people just want to get it over with. People have had a nice little heavy lunch. नींद आ रही है. कॉफी ब्रेक के लिए भी वेट करते हैं. And rather sometimes there are actually no people with it. Sorry, go ahead.
So the session was really good. Ria, are there any questions? Any participants, any questions from your side? So since we're live on YouTube channel also, I would just see some questions and come back.
Sure, okay.
Ria?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So there's one question. What is your favorite aspect being an entrepreneur?
Like I said at the beginning of my session over here, that there are various aspects of why you want to be an entrepreneur. Do you want to follow your passion? Do you want to make money? Do you want to solve a problem? Right? All of these put together is why I wanted to become an entrepreneur. Right? Now the kind of business that I do, I'm in brand management. Right? This business actually allows me to work with a number of different products. a number of different services, meet a number of different people. That's what gives me my high. Today, but actually there's also the flip side. I have launched products with banks, debit cards. I have launched products with FMCG companies, deodorants. I have launched sporting goods. I have launched stationery. I have launched footwear. Now the problem is when I actually go down to buy these products, I look at the products and say, it's not even worth the value that I'm paying. I have seen factories for these products. I know what goes inside these products. And the moment when I go back to a retail market to actually pick up a deodorant for myself, I'm like, "Nahi, yaar, ye worth hi nahi hai." I would rather buy a XYZ brand, which is much more worth it. So that for me was a really kick. That I learned how to build these products. I learned how these products are manufactured. I know what goes inside these products. So for me, that really helped me out. And of course, various other aspects of meeting a number of people and learning various industries.
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
So, Sunil Patil has a question as to what is better, to take a loan to finance the startup or put in your own savings?
Okay. So, Sunil, this is actually a very interesting question. I come with the belief that if you are launching your own company, so let me just take a step back over here, right? There are various aspects by the government today where the government supports you in terms of financial aspects, right? Banks also give out loans. Now the problem is the moment you go to a bank सबसे पहले ये बोलता है कि यार collateral क्या दोगे, security क्या दोगे. मैं बैंक को ये बोलता हूँ यार अगर मेरे पास सिक्योरिटी होती, अगर मेरे पास कोई कोलैटरल होता आपको देने के लिए, तो मैं पहले उसको बेच के पैसे ना ले लेता. So I am not of a belief that we should go back to a bank and pick up a loan from there. Right? Now comes in the other aspect. There are various grants that are available from the government, which are support, and these are grants. Right? When I say grants, I actually mean that you don't really have to repay them, provided your business has reached a certain level, and it's really the concept is viable like that. Right? But the third side is there are a number of third-party angel investors. Now, some of these investors come in and they take equity from you, and in lieu of the equity, वो आपको कुछ पैसे देते हैं. They invest in your company. Right? The other side is some of them will also give you debt. They will also give you a loan. Right? They might say that I will give you a loan without interest at times. Right? Again, कोई fixed parameter नहीं है. They will say हम आपको loan देते हैं, ये loan आप 4 साल में repay करना, लेकिन because it's without interest, I will still take some equity in it. So what's right and what's wrong? I am not of the belief that we need to go back to banks and pick up a loan. Yes, once you've established a reasonable sized company, then you can always go to the bank and pick up, an overdraft facility from them and so on and so forth. But while launching, keep some money ready with you. Make your own investments because B, at that point of time, when you go out to the market to pick up a loan from an investor or get invested by a professional investor, he will look at the confidence that you have within you when you invested your own. Right? Having said that, it doesn't mean that you should not launch if you don't have enough money. Right? Always approach the market, always approach some friends and families, always approach some various investors. If the concept is right, they will invest. But for me personally, my confidence is a bit more before investing if I've seen that you yourself have put in some amount of money there. Yeah?
Yes, sir. So the next question is, when you guide us to read, what exactly should the first things to read should be? As in any book that you can recommend to us?
Okay, give me a second. Okay, I'm not marketing him. I don't have any alliance with him. I don't have any monetary contribution coming in from him. But because this is a very easy and lucid book to read, right? So why I stopped wearing my socks? Some of the examples. So this is by this gentleman, right? Alok Kejriwal. Right? Now, some of the examples that he's given is very practical in terms of what needs to happen before you start your own company. Okay? Very easy read for people who are really launching, who really want to start, who really want to learn how to start. This is one book that I would really recommend because A, it's easy to read and it's very simple language. Let me also show you some of the examples. So at the end of every chapter, I don't know if you can see this, it says my learnings. Now, his learnings within that chapter have actually been outlined very clearly. So this is one book that I would really recommend. Amongst, there are many other books. We can discuss that offline to the gentleman or the young lady, whoever asked this question. We can connect on LinkedIn and I'll be happy to share my library with you and various recommendations. But for now, for launching, for starting, this is a book that I would really recommend.
Yes, sir, that was surely a great answer. So the next question is, sir, funding is also something to be taken care of in a startup. So how would anyone handle that?
How would anyone handle that? Okay, so I'm not so sure I've really understood the question clearly, but let me see if I can answer that correctly. Now, again, coming back to my earlier point that yes, funding at times is a very important aspect of launching your startup. Funding is also very important when you want to grow your startup. Funding is also very important at various stages throughout your startup journey, right? Even today, companies that are multi-million dollars reach out to others for funding. Now, if your question is, how would anyone handle that from an aspect that, how do we reach out to these guys? Well, there are incubation centers that you can be a part of. SPTBA, for example, has got a number of mentors on board that can help you reach out to the right investors, right? SPTBA, again, for example, has got a number of investors within themselves, who can actually understand your concept, your business, your service or product that you're launching and invest themselves as well. Right? SPTBI also has a number of government schemes and grants that can be invested within your company as well. Right? So that's one part where how do you really reach out to those investors and get funded? Now, the second part, and again, like I said, I don't know what the exact question was. Now, for me, when you say how do you handle funding? Yes, there are third-party companies that work with you, right? And I'm sure some of them are a part of the bootcamp earlier as well. These third-party companies work with you in terms of being your representative in reaching out to the world and finding investors for you. They will probably take a certain share of the total money that's been invested, which is okay. Which is almost like if you're finding the right house to buy, you typically go to a broker. This broker charges you some money, but he finds the right house for you. Right? So similarly, there are a number of consultants who work with you in terms of getting the right kind of investment in. Right? The third aspect is, again, handling your funding. Now, I'm just going to utilize that term, right? Handling the funding. If you've got that money in, how do you really handle those funds? Well, of course, by that time, if you've been able to manage that amount of money that you can't handle yourself, right? By that time, you would already have a team of financial experts within you, or at least a board of advisors who are financial experts. So allow them to handle it. You should follow your passion. You should focus, right? Let marketing be handled by someone else. Let finance be handled by someone else. Let operations be managed by someone else. Your focus should be on your product, on your service, and how do you really build that product. Yeah.
Sir, so Mayor says sir, he says, as you said, that we should start, but according to him, he thinks that he should aim then. I think the question is not really clear, sir. Okay. That we should aim then ready the fire means we should keep our vision and mission clear, and ready means we should do whatever it takes to complete our company vision and mission, and then fire means start whatever your idea and implementation, then prepare yourself. Is this right, whatever he thinks?
So
what are you
it's actually coming back to my earlier point, but again, having said that, there is nothing fixed for anyone over here, right? It's entirely on you. Whatever I have shared are my thoughts, are my feelings in terms of what's actually helped me be reasonably successful, right? What you could do is something different. I always say, even if your business plan is not 100% ready, even if your aim, mission, vision is not 100% ready, if there is something that you have ready, start to karo na baba. Launch karo. Take that first step. अगर आपने वो पहला कदम ही नहीं उठाया है तो आप आगे कैसे बढ़ोगे? एंड वो पहले कदम में ही जो आपको डर लगता है ना, वो पहले कदम में हट जाता है. वो डर वहां तक रहता है. आफ्टर दैट इट्स एंटायरली ऑन यू. So I always say, even if things are not 100% ready, start. Yeah.
Sir, we have a question from Ria Modi.
Yeah.
She says, "Sir, do you support investing in stocks for students, and what other type of investments should students do?"
Wow. Okay. That's an expertise that Kiran Talele sir will probably come in with. He's an expert in stocks. He's an expert in investing in stocks, so on and so forth. I'm not really a great expert of stocks. I'm not really even a proponent of stocks. But yes, every aspect of investment has its own learnings. Right? Understand, people say, यार stock market में मैं आज invest करूंगा, शाम को पैसे निकाल लूंगा, वापस बाहर निकालूंगा, day trading करूंगा, 50 रुपए, 100 रुपए, 500 रुपए, 2000 रुपए कमा लिया. But that's not about it, right? Which companies do you want to invest in? आप at least पढ़ो तो सही उस company के बारे में. Understand why that company, you think why that company is going to make profit by the end of the day, right? So I'll give an example, right? Alcohol, right? अगर alcohol की कोई news आने वाली है that the legislations are going to become easier for alcohol companies. Now, अगर alcohol companies के लिए ये legislation आएगा, naturally people will say कि alcohol companies के stocks ऊपर जाएंगे. लेकिन उसका एक बाई प्रोडक्ट भी है. अल्कोहल में शुगर भी यूज होगा. So I would rather say that instead of going directly to an alcohol company, I would probably invest in sugar stocks. Because you have to read, you have to learn, you have to understand. Right? Now, from a student aspect, yes, you probably have very limited amount of money with you. Now, how do you really invest that? Very difficult in today's time to buy property. So both नहीं कर सकते. Stocks, sure, there are opportunities for you to buy stocks. Beyond that, there are a number of people which actually pool your money. You can probably spare 5,000 rupees. आपके ऐसे 10 दोस्त हैं तो 5,000 निकाल सकते हैं. वो 5,000 करते हुए 10 लोगों से करते हुए 5 लाख बन गए ना, राइट? और 50,000 बन गए. वो 50,000 लेके you can probably invest into a startup as well. Right? If you feel that startup is good, the concept is good, so invest in a startup. That's what's actually known as pool investing. Look at those kind of concepts.
So we have our next question by Ayush Tripathi. So he says, why is it said that a lot of Indians fail even though they put a lot of thought in their ideas?
Sorry, the name of the gentleman was Ayush. Ayush. Okay.
Yes,
so Ayush, again, coming back to my earlier point, 9 out of 10 startups fail. These are statistics. These are globally accepted statistics, and it's got nothing to do about Indian startups. These are global numbers, right? Now, yes, you have put in a lot of thought inside. You have put in a lot of learnings inside it, and then you've probably gone ahead and launched your company. But like I said, maybe you have targeted, maybe you have focused your company for your own business needs, for your own consumptional needs, right? You have not really gone out and done the right kind of a market survey, right? So go out, do a market survey, do a market research, understand what people are really talking about, what they really need, what they really have answered to your survey, utilize those learnings onto your product and concept, and then launch it. Right? Again, you could do everything right, but at times people are unlucky. नहीं बना, नहीं launch हुआ, नहीं successful हुआ, right? No harm going back to a corporate world at that point of time, and then probably after 2 years, once you've learned a little bit more, coming back and launching again. Yeah.
So I have a question for you. So what are your views on the stages like Shark Tank?
What are my views on the stages of Shark Tank? Well,
Like the platform wherein
yeah. So I'm sure this question is probably coming in because Shark Tank is now looking up for auditions in India, and you young lady have probably already prepared your pitch and you really want to go there and start on that. Well, first of all the best. If you're really contemplating going in for that, go for it. Right? Now, what about the other stages? Shark Tank has just made a brand, but stages like Shark Tank have always been present in India. It's not received that kind of marketing that a Shark Tank has received, but there are so many stages in India where people are actually called up. The concept is the same. Entrepreneurs are called up and they're asked to present to a board of 4 or 5 people right there. Right? The question and answers are the same. The concepts of launching or investing in the startup is almost the same. But नाम नहीं था Shark Tank, तो इसलिए लोगों को नहीं पता चला. आज Shark Tank launch हो रहा है तो Shravani, right? Shravani's all game for it and say मैं Shark Tank में जा रही हूँ. So good, it's a good thought. Go for it.
Thanks, sir.
Yeah. Okay, so any more questions?
Okay. No, sir, I don't think any more questions are there.
Okay, perfect. Great. And I think we've also looked at the time as well. Done. Yep.
Thank you, sir, for your passionate fireside chat. Indeed, your chat was full of zeal and enthusiasm, and few takeaways that we all had were permission, planning, practice, and of course, perseverance. We all know that we only need perseverance, and perseverance to be a good entrepreneur.
Yes. Now we can surely say that success with enthusiasm is mixed with excitement and inspiration, but all motivation and creativity. So, on behalf of IEEE Bombay section and the entire organizing team, we express our heartfelt gratitude to Mr. Pankaj Sikka for his valuable time and insightful presence. Thank you so much, sir.